freedom. And it's a big word, right? Like, Anthony, freedom. Like, how are you going to solve freedom? Well, I think freedom is tied to money. I think if you have a lot of money, you have the freedom to do whatever you like. I think if you don't have any money, you do not have the freedom to do anything you like. And I think when you take that, you're able to extrapolate that. If I have a lot of money, I have the freedom to say whatever I like, because those that oppose me will automatically look at me and say, he can do this for me, or he can take this from me. Therefore, I'm going to edit my words for my audience, which is him. If I have no money, I think that even if I'm completely correct, somebody could stomp me, walk away, and leave me for dead because they know I have no recourse. So if you go ahead and identify that freedom is tied to economics, okay, well, all right, Ant, how do you solve economics? Like you're just going from one big word to the next. What are you doing? We've had politicians change, you can believe it, build back better, make America great again. You just sound like a politician. Okay, well, how about a solution, right? So when you go ahead and talk about economics, how do people get money, right? Like you cannot have a profit unless you have a customer. You cannot be elected to political office unless you have a vote. Okay, duh. Where are you going with this, Ann? Well, how do you get elected into political office? Do you have one vote, or do you have the most votes? How do you make a profit? Because if you don't make X amount of sales, you cannot pay your overhead. Therefore, there is a line, which means the people that get over that amount of sales are profitable. People that get under that amount of sales are unprofitable. When you're unprofitable, it means you're losing money. When you're losing money, it means you have less economics, you have less power, you have less freedom. If you're a politician and you do not get the max amount of votes, you're nothing. You're a failed politician. You were a former runner for office, you mean nothing. Okay, so what does the people that win these different things have in common? What does the political person that wins office have in common with the successful business owner? Population. They have people. They don't have one. They have groups. No politician ever got voted into office because they had one vote. No business ever became profitable because they had one buyer, which means one person is not important. One person is never important. Any single person is never important. That person has zero importance. Okay, so what is important? Collections of people. Okay, so if the solution to economics is having groups of people, then how do we do that, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that Wall Street does it really well, and they do their best to make sure you can't. Because when a politician is running, are politicians really winning on messaging anymore, or are they winning on bribery? Hey, if you vote me, everyone in this class, I'm going to give this to them. I'm going to give reparations to this class. I'm going to give tax breaks to this class. I'm going to tax those evil people up there. That message goes ahead and corrals people. But if any of that were true, then you wouldn't need to have 10 elections with the same thing. They would be solved each time, right? Like, you can't have 10 sets of reparations. You can't have 10 sets of bringing the tax down to 15%. Once it's there, it's already there. Which means these people are simply just lying. They're literally just lying to go ahead and grab as many people as possible because they do not need to be held accountable. Why don't they need to be held accountable? Well, because how do you ever get to know if they're held accountable or not? It's by the messaging that's given to you, which means it's dependent on the news source you receive. I don't think you're in your life following ex-politician to all of his congressional meetings and wondering what the minutes are of those conversations so that you know if he's really trying to champion that tax bill or not. You go ahead and rely on the news organizations. So if the news organizations, if big business is in bed with big government, then what do they essentially do? They monopolize the group. They're able to go ahead and be in partnership and make sure that they own the group. Because this politician says this organization parrots this, and all of this goes to the group, which has no means to go ahead and find out if they're right or wrong. Sounds like, I don't know, you could go back as far in history as you want. When two elite groups of people control against others' will by devoiding them of credible information, their lives, what do you call it, right? So I'll make that argument all day. So that's how politics works. Well, what about big business, right? So Walmart, for instance, Walmart goes ahead and purchases its products from China, right? So the more products they're able to purchase, the less the price per product, right? If you have 100 things of one item, they might be $1. If you buy 1,000 of that one item, maybe they give you a break to 90 cents, whatever the case may be. We understand buying in bulk equals lower prices. Okay. Well, if they can continually buy in bulk because they continually grow to new locations, what can they essentially do to anyone that tries to compete with them that owns one location? They undercut you. And in fact, they're able to undercut you and be unprofitable because all the other stores are profitable. In fact, if Walmart right now wanted to say, you know what, guys, we want to put every small business ever in the history of the world out of business. We're going to operate in the negative for the next 2 years. In fact, we're going to sell everything for only 10 cents. They could, and they would still have billions of dollars sitting around. Now, how does a company become that powerful? Well, they probably had to get a lot of breaks along the way, right? You cannot become a company that powerful unless your congressman goes ahead and approves Walmart to come to the community. Now, when any congressman approves that Walmart comes to your community, first of all, Walmart doesn't just come to a community. Walmart doesn't say, oh, I want to buy that plot of land. I wish I could find a realtor. Oh, no. They go to the oversight committee. They go to the whatever committees, chambers of commerce, and they say to them, we're going to bring in this much tax revenue. In fact, we're even going to go ahead and contribute to your political campaigns going forward if you go ahead and allow us to go into that community. So the people in office are like, wow, I already have a pretty cushy job. Go take a look at a senator's salary. Go take a look at a congressman's salary. These guys are making $200,000-300,000 a year. And they're going to get the political campaign contributions to make sure that they stay in that position. All for doing what? Bringing in a company that's going to offer jobs. It's going to bring in tax revenue. At what deficit, though? At what sacrifice? The citizens. Because any citizen will tell you, especially the older people that are on this broadcast, that remember the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s, and understand the value of the neighborhood, that if somebody came into your neighborhood that wanted to be a troublemaker, Johnny went to go call Vinny, Michael, and Danny, and they went to go to their parents, and they handled it. Communities were strong. Communities did not go ahead and participate in all the different nonsense of division. They were united. And then this community knew that community and that community, they all respected each other because they had pride. They had optimism. They had a future. They had freedom. These communities had community Main Street businesses. They had it where the business was run for 100 years from generation to generation. Everyone knew Pop's Garage. Everyone knew Kevin's Coffees. These are the places that people went. So when you took those out of the community and replaced them with Starbucks, when you took away Mary and Mike's bed and breakfast with Airbnb, when you took away Leon's taxi with Uber, what did you do? Well, how do you run a large corporation, right? So let's answer that question together. To run a large corporation, everyone is a number. They have to be. Because when you're a large corporation, you have your executives, and these are the people that you trust to make decisions, but they then have to hire people underneath them that they trust to follow orders. Because you cannot have McDonald's over here having a different recipe than McDonald's over there, because that's the brand. You can't do it. The company can never grow large enough if each location is different. Therefore, the people that operate each satellite location have to completely conform to rules, completely conform to what they're told. They have to follow every single rule. Is that a pleasant place to be? Is that a place where you want to work? Is that a place that you even want to go to? Is that a place that offers you any optimism? Is that a place that offers you any freedom? Is that a place that offers you any aspiration that you can go ahead and grow? Can you go ahead and be the leader, the pillar of the community, or are you now just an employee for a corporation? And as these corporations become larger and larger, and as small business gets wiped out more and more, something like COVID happens. And when COVID happens, who's the companies that are essential and who are the companies that are non-essential? Because I can make a very strong argument that small business was essential and large business was non-essential. That small business knows their customers. They live in the same community. They can track, contact trace better than anyone. They have the moral and societal obligation amongst themselves to keep themselves safe, that they can do things that would never be voted into national law just because they said, yeah, I saw Mary. Yeah, she was cheating on John with Dan. Dan just got COVID. Let's go ahead and make sure that Mary doesn't come in here. Do you think the CDC could track that? No. But Mary's next door neighbor could track that because she's been gossiping her whole life to begin with. There's something about communities that allows everyone to go ahead and be shielded and grow. That's a good thing. One could say that to go ahead and decimate that entire industry on the altar, that big business is more equipped because they have more money, so they're able to go ahead and spray countertops better, is ludicrous. You completely annihilated the middle class of this nation. And what did big business do? Well, they went ahead and cut all their prices. They went ahead and vacuumed up everyone's customer. And now you, as a business that might be fortunate enough to come back during this reopening, your employees that you paid $12, $13 an hour, you know how much they cost? $22 an hour now. Those products that you purchased for $1, $1.10, they're now $2 because inflation went so high on labor and product. How did inflation go high? Because in the government partnering with business to make sure that you were shut down, they had to feed you paychecks, which then got entered into the real economy as the velocity of money picked up. Goods and services came down due to just closures and supply chain, and the price of everything is higher. Not only do you not have the ability to compete the way you used to, but you're now competing against large companies who vacuumed your customers and undercut any prices you could ever give and became even larger in scale. So how do you compete? You don't. So if government and big business already have a nice kumbaya, do you see that relationship getting stronger, or do you see that relationship getting weaker as big business grows even larger? You can really make the argument that we're kind of past the line of no return, because the argument that I'm making is really like kind of Armageddon. What are you going to do? We're just simply going to be slaves. Slaves in the sense of, do you remember the Matrix when they had the pods of people? You're just a person. You just represent labor. You just represent customer. You just represent voter. And you do what you're told, or they get it taken away from them. Oh, you want your unemployment? Well, you better vote us or else you're not going to get it. Oh, you want that tax break? You better vote us or you're not going to get it. Oh, you want these parks taken care of? Oh, well, I guess you have to have a little bit of a tax hike or you're not going to get it. Oh, you want us to cut our salary? What are you out of your mind? We're the elite. We're the politicians. We're the businessmen. Do you know the CEO of McDonald's makes over like 1 billion times more than the lowest employee? Do you think he's worth that much? No, because at some point you have to say to yourself, okay, I get it. We're in business and one business person is probably much more valuable than another, right? I would say that a 70-year-old business owner is far more valuable than a 15-year-old first job, right? We can make that argument. But to what degree? To the degree that the 15-year-old is never going to be able to make any type of livable salary, to ever progress through any type of educational platform that allows him to ever earn the education that guy earns? Is that how unvaluable he is? Because at what point, what is the value of human life? What is the value of what are we doing here? Because I am not going to live a life that I'm simply just put on earth to go ahead and walk and talk like you tell me to. It's not going to happen. But going back to the beginning of the conversation, can I be mad at politicians? No. Can I be mad at business executives? No. This is what they do. This is all they know. Like someone such as myself, and probably most of you out there, if somebody came up to us and said, listen, you're being paid, I don't know, $300,000 as a congressman, okay, of mayor of this town, whatever. Well, this town has a drug epidemic, right? It has a problem, it has something. And we're unable to save all of the people being affected by it because we cannot afford to bring on more people as civil servants, in the government workers, right? Social workers. I know to myself, and I think you guys know me well enough because I've actually canceled everyone's payments and I've I've done a lot. I do not accept money from anyone. That I would say, I don't need $300,000 a year. Cut me down to 100. Let's hire as many people as possible, and I'll go ahead and contribute on Saturdays. Let's go ahead and do a drive and see how many people can pitch in. How about we go ahead and put these people to work? What kind of, do you guys want to do a park? How about I take 100,000 of my salary, we fund a park, we pay these people, and get them into some type of educational program? That's what I would do. Now, Do you think those people think that? No. But they also didn't grow up the way I grew up. They did not grow up with that sense. They probably grew up with their mommy or daddy as a politician or mommy or daddy in business, went to all their really fancy schools, understood the business dynamic. They have shareholders and large institutional holders that tell them they're accountable to profits. That is their job, because those people are accountable to shareholders and they get to keep their $1 million salary. They get to keep their $300,000 or $1 million salary by making these people money. It's all profit related all the way down, because these companies are owned by Wall Street, and Wall Street is a profit machine. Wall Street only cares about money. And it's actually really beautiful. I know you're thinking like, yeah, that's, there's nothing beautiful about this. No, there's something beautiful in knowing what you're dealing with, right? Wall Street is beautiful. It's so simple. It's a creature that if your grandmother was dying, they would step on her head and reach over into her pocket and take her money. You never need to worry about what Wall Street's going to do. In fact, you know that if you walk into Wall Street and you bend over, you're going to get it. And that's what Wall Street is. That's who they are. So are you surprised? No. So the question then becomes, all right, well, that sounds yucky. I don't want to participate in that anymore. I don't want to be the one that goes ahead and contributes to that. But you know what the problem is? It happens because of you. You are the contributor. You are the reason. Because you are a voter. You are a customer. You are a buyer. You are their customer. You are their voter. And you may say to yourself, well, Anthony, what can I do? I'm only one person. And you're right. You can do nothing. But if every one of you thinks you can do nothing, then that's the problem. So where's the point where you're able to gather amongst yourself, have a leader that says, hey, guys, listen, they have 1% of the wealth. They have, but that 1% has 99% of the wealth, but we have 99% of the population. In fact, if we stop buying from their stores, they would be bankrupt tomorrow. Well, it sounds like a great message. And I'm on board. How do I do this? Now, it does sound like to do something like this, you would have to have pitchforks, right? Like we'd have to meet in silence, right? Like we'd have to have like the fire staff, and we'd have to wear masks. No, it's actually far simpler than that. In fact, in this evolution of Anthony, and in having the prism that I look at everything through, I've said to myself, and because my father is probably the worst human being I've ever met, but in having the worst personal trainer ever, you come quite strong, right? If your personal trainer beats you every day and makes you lift those weights, you can curse him to the moon and back, but you are the strongest person. So I'm having a bit of a personal problem with that, because I'm starting to mature enough to say that I need to say thank you to certain people, while also simultaneously thinking they're the worst humans in the world. And I'm having a problem. How do you reconcile those? And I suspect as I get older, that'll figure itself out. But I am going through that right now. And the point of me saying that is because I've always been able to look at every single vile person for the vile actions, not the vile personality that they have. I've been able to see, okay, well, if that person does that because of that, and that person does that because of that, and that person does that because of that, and this has been going on because of this, and this has been going on because of this, search engines. Breathe it for a second, search engines. And like that, it happened. Search engines. How, it's like the most duh idea in the world. A search engine is the gateway between impulse and purchase. Search engine is the gateway between question and answer. Search engine is the gateway between your most private moment, 2 in the morning, sitting in a room with the lights out and just your screen, and what you're looking for. In fact, your search engine knows you better than anybody. In fact, there are things that I've searched that I will never admit that I searched. And all of you are laughing right now because you're like, ha, I get it. We all get it. But who owns the search engines? Wall Street, right? Google, Yahoo, AOL, MSN, Bing. They're Wall Street search engines. There's 10 billion searches a day, 7 billion of them are through Google. Okay. Would you say Google's a really big company? Yeah. Would you Would you take a second and wonder how a company that is the third largest company in the world is that large without by offering a free product? Did we ever stop and think of that? Because they don't charge me to search. In fact, I'm not charged to go on YouTube. In fact, I'm not charged to go on Gmail. But somehow this company's making a ton of money. So does anyone ever stop and say, well, how the is that even possible? Oh, I'm not the client. I'm the product. Oh, they're selling me. It's like when you walk into a room and everyone's laughing. The joke is about you. You're the product. Well, that makes sense, but I'm just me. I'm just one person. I'm just insignificant Anthony. Yeah, I'm only worth like 10 cents to someone. But Anthony searches for ESPN. Anthony likes Tom Brady. Anthony has been liking Tom Brady for quite some time. So when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Anthony got a couple of ads. Hey, do you want to own Tom Brady's jersey? You're a mega fan of Tom Brady. Be the first to own his jersey. You know what Anthony did? Anthony bought a Tom Brady jersey. That's when the light goes off. How, though, did anyone know I was a Tom Brady fan? And how did they know to go ahead and provide me that ad? And how many ads do I get provided that some of them I identify with, some of them I purchase, and some of them I don't? And whatever that calculation is to Google, that's how they go ahead and sell their product, which is me. All right. If we go ahead and collect 1 million people that exhibit these characteristics and sell that 1 million people to this particular vendor, that vendor will get a 2% conversion, 2% times the product price of his by the profit margins equals he's going to make this much by purchasing this from us. Therefore, we're going to charge him this much. Wow. So I'm just an insignificant product. Okay. But the person that sold me the Tom Brady jersey, I'm not doubting, I'm not faulting him. God bless, he got a sale. Good job. But he got a sale ahead of who? Because I didn't have to leave my house to buy that jersey. And I, who love small business, never even got a second to think about going down to Brad's, sports shop to see if they have a Tom Brady jersey. In fact, because I don't even have that second, no one has that second. Which means Brad's sports shop doesn't even exist because Brad would never have any customers. Okay, so where are we getting? What are you going with this, Ann? So because Wall Street owns search engines and because Wall Street runs on profit, every search result you get is going to a company that is large enough to pay that search engine for that result. Meaning, by definition, every search engine in America is a villain numero uno to small business because your small business is never going to be on a search engine because A, you're not big enough to be on a search engine. B, you don't have enough money to go ahead and pay Google to be on that search engine. And C, you don't have enough money or enough time in a business to grow large enough that enough traffic enters the algorithm to put you on page number 1, where 89% of the people close Google. So let me get this straight. So then you can actually make an argument that the pandemic is really good for big business. Well, yeah, the top 1% doubled their net worth in the last 2 years. Have you seen the stock market lately? Have you seen your personal bank account? I bet you it doesn't look like the stock market. Why? Because you never, and then you go back to the beginning, because you never had these opportunities. You never got to own those companies, and the people that own those companies got larger, and now they can squash you even more. So how has this become fair? What is the natural evolution? What's going to happen? Are you going to be able to ever compete because like the next president is going to have your back? Or is the next president conceivably going to be even more in the pockets of them because that's how they're chosen? Doesn't sound good. Search engines. Okay, but search engines. Now, search engine is something you could do from your home. A search engine you don't need to do anything special for. You either go on google.com or you go on yahoo.com and then you search. Meaning the second you go on that search engine, you're already part of the problem. And you didn't even know it. Why? Do you think some news organization is going to come out and and say that to you? What? Are you crazy? You think the news is going to tell you that? You are out of your freaking bird. They have no interest in telling you that because they're owned by you. Go figure it out. But what if there was a search engine that actually disqualified Wall Street companies? What if there was a search engine that only showed results of small businesses? Okay. Meaning if you search on that search engine, you'd only get those results. That anything that you ever searched on that would be you taking away you from Wall Street and giving you to Main Street. Okay. Sounds like a good idea. What if that search engine only allowed you to search within a 25-mile radius? And maybe 50 miles, I'm still thinking about it, because Idaho probably needs 50 miles, right? New Jersey, you don't need 50 miles. So maybe the search engine only allows you to search 25 miles. Okay. Which means that by searching on this search engine, you would only support, you would only buy from, you would only get results of businesses within a 25-mile radius of you. Now, let's say, for instance, you're looking to buy a white t-shirt, right? If you buy this white t-shirt from Target.com, it's $7. If you buy this white t-shirt from Mary, who babysat you your whole life, who lives on Maiden Lane, 2 blocks down, it's $9. Who do you buy the shirt from? I kind of think that's an obvious answer, which means price is never the motivating factor in why people buy. People buy people, they do not buy products. Price is never the number one motivating factor. You know, price could be if price is like $1 bazillion, but if they're comparable and you understand the difference in prices because you're making an effort, you're standing up for yourself and drawing a line in the sand for your children and the people that depend on you, and you're saying, this is not the life I want to live in, is that worth $2 to you? I think it is. Okay. So if you were to go ahead and search on this search engine, would you ever be able to get like Nike socks? No. Would you ever be able to get like McDonald's burgers? No. Would you ever be able to get that stuff? No. And nobody's saying not to. I'm not saying don't ever consider a large company, because a large company is large because they do a good job, right? They have a good brand. They're able to go ahead and take that brand and offer it to so many people. But in doing so, they do it in a very robotic fashion that takes away from humanity. But that does not mean the product is not good. The product is great. All I'm saying is search families first. Rhino Street, search families first.